Hey folks, I tried to make this video before, but for some reason it didn't work, so if you saw a video pop up before and then disappear, yeah, the audio was off, so I just deleted it. Um, but to sort of recap on what I wanted to say, hopefully a little bit more condensed this time, um, in the last video, we were talking a lot about the point of knowledge and intuition, and the differences between those two things, and just sort of focus the discussion a little bit in this new video. Uh, I think pretty clearly acknowledge the academic or intellectual approach, or even the science or philosophical approach, to have an inherent limitation, um, in which there's another component of ourselves which we can just directly be a part of life and directly engage in life and experience it. I mean, um, academia is a way to analyze and break down our experience, which is useful, but sometimes there's other forms of knowledge which are much more direct and intuitive that I think should be cultivated a little bit more than it is in society. Um, we're a very goal-oriented, abstract society in which we're always breaking down things academically or in everyday life. We're always aiming towards things. We're driven towards things. And without a balance of just observation and being in the moment, and also the arts that promote that experience are even being downplayed these days. So I think there's a definite lack of appreciation for this moment and the art of being in the moment, and the types of knowledge which are different than, concepts, um, that that sort of experiencing or cognition, or whatever you want to call it, um, is pretty neglected, I think, in modern society. And I know in one of the comments we were mentioning, um, the point of philosophy is to end philosophy, and I think this is a very appropriate response to the academic lifestyle, because one person might say, look, we need to know things in order to understand them. We must break them down. We must critically analyze ourselves and the world in order to gain knowledge. And this is how science works. This is how academics work. And I would say, well, sure, think about it, sure. And not only that, but be able to take your perspective and put it in light of another person's, and be able to see through their perspective and then come back to yours. Um, you know, as I mentioned in another video I just did, uh, you know, perspective taking and the academic lifestyle and the analytical lifestyle, I think, is an art in itself. And that's ironic to say, isn't it? That to think and to conceptualize is artistic. Well, it can be if you play it right. If you engross yourself in the moment and you go through it and you experience possibilities, sure, you can get lost in the words, but you should always be able to bring yourself back. And by that I mean, if academia is your vocation, try to be able to, I think, as an exercise, take the complex meaning and try to bring it back to simplicity. Try to be able to say it to an everyday person. Um, and a friend of mine mentioned this to me. We're sort of, as academics, as thinkers, we are able to leave, um, these common experiences, to really think about them, think about what we're doing, and understand it to a greater level. But that understanding isn't necessarily as conceptual. Um, we have to be able to bring it back down from the top of the mountain, and rejoin society to some degree. So how can we take these complex ideas we're talking about the inherent limitations of the knowledge path, or need to balance knowledge with understanding and the wisdom of the moment. Uh, how can we apply these things so people can understand them more without a barrier of excess jargon? And I think this is a very serious question because um, the academic lifestyle has sort of been cut off or isolated from the everyday lifestyle, so that to be an academic is to be, the strange introvert in the corner. Um, what can we do to engage society more? And I guess that's a general question, not even as a collective, but even as an individual. How can I even make this video more direct? You know, how can I take my what I'm telling you and actually just be more direct about it so that you wouldn't even have to learn all the language before you get the meaning. Um, so really, I'm asking, can we turn academia to become more artistic and turn philosophy to be an art in itself rather than just an intellectual departure from reality? And to sum everything up now in a very basic sort of direct way, unless knowledge is a expression of inner simplicity of wisdom, then knowledge is in itself just a fractal, endless, complicated thing that doesn't really gain insight into ourselves, but only seeks to escape or complexify something that is just inherent, direct, and simply being. So really, how can we have more enlightened knowledge? And there's such a difference between, the Enlightenment in Western thinking, which is just a discovery of new types of things to think about, um, new plateaus of information and worldviews. How can that shift to a more um, an inner peace so we don't get lost in our words? That's such an important thing, not to become lost in the discussion, not to become lost in the concepts, to realize that we're beyond concepts, we're behind the concepts, that there is an observer that isn't conceptual. How to not identify so much with conceptual thinking, so that when you use concepts, you can teach, you can really connect, you can actually engage someone in a living, dynamic conversation that transformation occurs from that. So I guess this is a big question and a good question to end at, and I'll end there. So yeah, your reflections and comments. This is a great dialogue.